Yeah, it's wonderful to have all these dear people, very knowledgeable and with lots of experience, to allow me to share just an overview of what the World Food Program does, in the field. And I must say that whatever I'm going to present is a snapshot of what you would find in several other locations where the World Food Program is operating, at least in the different places where I've worked, be it Afghanistan, the Democratic Republic of Congo. We have standard activities that we carry out, and these are all based on policies that are designed from the grassroots and in collaboration with our headquarters, which is based in Rome. So what I am presenting are the activities in Chad, but based on what we do in the Lake Chad province. The Lake Chad province has become one of the most important provinces of Chad because of reasons that I will explain. And we realized suddenly that the attention of the international community when it comes to Chad is mostly focused on the Lake Chad province because that is where they have the biggest, in terms of needs, in terms of problems. That's where most of the IDPs, internally displaced people, are based. That is where the refugees are mostly located from Nigeria. So as indicated in this photo, the World Food Program has country offices in a total of 82 countries around the globe. And I must say that the reason why I'm putting the map of Africa here is because most of these offices are based in Africa. In fact, from north to south, east to west, there is a World Food Program office in almost every country. Probably the exceptions are Angola. I'm trying to see South Africa, we have a regional office, not a country office. But we have the 6 regional offices are based. One is based in Cairo, one is based in Dakar, Senegal. One is based in Kenya, and there is one in Johannesburg, South Africa. So you can see that out of the 6 regional offices, 4 are based in Africa, and then there's one in Panama City, and then there's one in Bangkok, Thailand, taking care of that part of Asia. When we come to Chad, the World Food Program has
World Organization.
Hello? Yeah. The World Food Program has 13 offices. There is a main office in N'Djamena, the capital, which coordinates 13 sub-offices, 13 field offices. And yeah, this map, I don't think it's very clear. You can see the points that are circled where we have in blue, where we have the sub-offices. Now, there are 2 big offices out of all the offices, there are 2 big offices. There's the one in Bol, which is highlighted in yellow, and that is right here at the Lake Chad. And then there's Bagasola, which is a sub-office under the one in Bol. And then you have Abeshe, which is in the east of Chad, and that also manages a number of sub-offices. The office in Abeshe is taking care of mostly the refugees coming from Sudan. Now, the office in Lake Chad is taking care of refugees coming from Nigeria, people who have been displaced by Boko Haram, and then IDPs, internally displaced people who are displaced from their localities as a result of Boko Haram terrorist group activities in the region. But apart from that, you also have a lot of man-made, a number of natural disasters. The Lake Chad has been rising and falling, rising and falling. And depending on the season, when the water rises, it overtakes some of the islands, because there are thousands of islands on the lake which are inhabited. So when these islands are flooded, people are forced to move out of their localities, their communities. Now, another thing I want to say is that Lake Chad is used as maybe I should go to the next slide. Lake Chad is used as a crossing point. So you can see here, this is Lake Chad, and it is bordered by Chad, the Republic of Chad, the Republic of Nigeria, the Republic of Cameroon, and the Republic of Niger. So the water is shared by these 4 countries. Now, what is happening is that these terrorist groups, not just Boko Haram, the different terrorist groups, are operating in all these 4 countries. And so you have these people who are being displaced between the different countries, and then Boko Haram or the different terrorist groups are harassing communities which are based, most of them are islanders on the lake. And whenever a community is attacked, thousands of people, or not just communities that are on the islands, but communities bordering the lake, it's easier for the terrorist groups to operate on the lake because the soldiers on the ground cannot attack them. It's easier for them to run away. So communities that are bordering the lake are the ones that are most attacked. And you can see that out of the 4 countries, Chad has the biggest portion in terms of coastal areas on the bordering the lake. And so several of the communities that are bordering the lake are the ones that are most affected by this crisis. And so it gives rise to thousands upon thousands of internally displaced people every year. And some of them have been displaced for many years because they are afraid to return. Peace has not been made in the area, so the dangers are still there. So either they are displaced because of the attack from the terrorist groups, or when the government forces try to attack the terrorist groups, they are also displaced. So it's a lot of hardship, a lot of displacements, and so that is really why the World Food Program is there. And yeah, apart from these emergency operations due to the displacements, we also have development activities focused on agriculture and other infrastructure development to help communities to build resilience. And then we also have school feeding programs to help children to stay in school, especially girls. So yeah, as I said here in this slide, the interventions of the World Food Program are based on a document which is called the Country Strategic Program. Every World Food Program country office, the 82 countries, each one has a country strategic program which is developed by key stakeholders in the country. And this process is led by the government. So it's not a World Food Program document per se to say that this is what we are going to do now. What the World Food Program does is defined by a cross-section of people, and this process is often led by a well-respected entity, member of the government or of the country, an ex-minister, prime minister, someone who has authority who can bring people together. And then other UN agencies and NGOs also take part in this process, because it has to take into account different requirements, and it's also based on different assessments that are carried out in terms of vulnerability in different parts of the country to determine what and to project what the needs of the country would be. And once this is done, then it is cleared by an executive board, which is composed of different ambassadors in Rome. And I know that the United States ambassador is a key member of this, the major donors, United States, Canada, the European Union, various European Union countries are key members of this, including ambassadors from key African countries. Participate in this executive board to approve the document, which is then used as a standard guide for WFP World Food Program operations over a period of 5 years. And I just also want to mention that whatever is determined goes into the country strategic program is based on the SDGs. I'm sure everyone here is familiar with the SDGs, the Strategic Development Goals of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. And so what happened was that once the SDGs were developed, each UN agency decided to take a portion of this based on their mandate. And the World Food Program decided to take SDG 2, which is focusing on zero hunger, and SDG 17, building partnership, working with governments to develop capacity development, and providing services to the humanitarian community, and so on. So, yeah, just this is this is a map of the lake region, which you know, shows the main parts of the province, and I'm not going to go into a lot of this, but I just wanted to show you. In fact, if you can see here, these are some of the red zones, places where we cannot go to, you know, as UN agencies. In fact, to go to most of these places, Dabwa, Liwa, most of these places, we would have to go with military escort. That is to show what amount of danger we are facing. Now, this is Bagasola, where we have an office, and this is Ball. I'm based in Ball, and then we have a sub-office in Bagasola. These two offices manage, but from, as you can see, from Bagasola going towards the border with Nigeria and then Cameroon, that's where we have a big concentration of our IDPs and refugees. Now, as I've said earlier, okay, the total population, let me say this, the total population of the lake region is less than 500,000. I put this just to give you, as we go along, to see what percentage of the population is being assisted. And the province carries out agriculture. Most of the economic activities are in agriculture, animal husbandry. They rear a lot of cattle, donkeys, camel, goats, sheep, and then there's also a lot of fishing on the lake. Now, because of the terrorist activities, naturally, this is a region, a province that is supposed to be the food basket of the country. I remember when I was head of our regional procurement office in Dakar, I went there to this place in 2012 to buy maize because they had excess maize. So to use for our school feeding program, we decided instead of bringing food from the United States and other countries, it's better to buy locally so as to encourage the farmers to produce. So I went there to buy maize on behalf of the World Food Program. But now we cannot, instead of buying locally, we have to bring food from outside. And then they also have cattle and they have fisheries. But as I said, because of the ongoing crisis, most of these activities have been disrupted. Most of the cattle, I must say, are best reared on the islands because they have water and they have a lot of vegetation. Well, so I'm explaining all this just to show how disruptive life becomes for the local population. Because when the islands are attacked, people are forced to flee either, or when they get news that there's going to be an attack, they are forced to flee with their cattle, and they come to the mainland where there is less vegetation and less water. So they are not able to sustain their agricultural activities. And then when there is a lot of main attacks, the government prohibit people from going fishing because fishermen are being attacked by the terrorists on the lake. Now, in response to the different situations that we have, that the province faces, the World Food Program, based on its country strategic program, has come up with a number of activities to respond. The most important of these activities is emergency food distribution. Normally, when a group of people are displaced, the principle is that within 72 hours, we should intervene so as to stop people from slipping into malnutrition and other problems that would come. So within 3 days, we should be able to intervene. And I must say that if you have seen these people that are being displaced, that have been displaced for the first time, you will really understand why an immediate intervention is necessary. These people, when they are displaced, when their communities are attacked, people are killed, they run away with whatever is in their hands. So in most cases, they run away with nothing. And so they are arriving in these strange places, desert, sand, with nothing, no drinking water, and no food, with small children, sometimes pregnant women. And so a very quick intervention is what is necessary to keep them alive. I just want to go back now. So but at the beginning of this data that I'm showing is from 2020. So in 2020, at the beginning of 2020, we had estimated that based on the current trend, based on the trend that we saw, that we would be able to assist about 90,400 people, IDPs, people fleeing from their communities. But by the end of 2020, we realized that we were assisting 144,700 people. That is just for the emergency intervention out of the 450,000 100,000 people. So you can see what percentage of the population in the province needs assistance. So we are assisting internally displaced people, refugees, and then in some cases, the host population. And yeah, so we assist them with food and cash, depending on the situation. Where the market is okay, where we think that there is a market, we can get suppliers, we give them vouchers so that they can collect food for food for their families. But in most cases, we distribute dry rations, food that they take to their homes. Here, this photo that you see here, I should explain it. In fact, I took this photo. This was a group of people who had been displaced from one of the islands following an attack. And it was while we were preparing normal food rations to distribute the normal cereal, pulses, vegetable oil, and so on, we arranged to give them a certain quantity of high energy biscuits. So this is for three days ration of high energy biscuits to keep them alive while we were getting normal food, you know, that they could prepare. So that's why we have that photo. This is this other slide is let me see. Before I go to this one, let me show you some photos. I just want to show you some photos of how these people are when they arrive from the refugee camp, when they first arrive in their localities. Let me see, share photo. Yeah. Okay. So this is, so these are some photos that I took just before I was traveling. This is a recent group that arrived about a week or 2 weeks before I traveled. It's not showing.
Are you trying to share the picture?
Yeah.
Okay. I think you have to double click.
Okay.
It's not going to work. You have to stop sharing.
Oh, I have to stop sharing the other one.
Yeah, you have to stop sharing. Stop. No, click stop share.
Stop sharing.
Yeah, and then start over. So click share screen.
Share screen.
And then you have to click on the picture.
Oh, okay. Sorry, thank you, Ada. So when the people arrive, you know, they put up makeshift structures. So if you can see, this is a desert. There's nothing. There's no drinking water. How do I? Oh.
Stop sharing and then you share again. Or do
Okay.
you want to have make it on slide?
Okay.
No, you have to start over.
I have to start over?
Yes.
Oh.
So click stop share and then start over. Yeah.
Okay. So I start sharing?
Yes, and then you have to click on the picture. On the picture.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know if you are seeing this. When people arrive, you can see that this is a desert. The sun is overbearing. You cannot imagine what it means to be there. And they try to put up these makeshift structures. And you see, they try to put up with whatever local materials they can find. It's really unbelievable. You know, the mothers try to do whatever. That lady is washing clothes. They walk for long distances to the lake to get a bit of water. She's washing clothes. The children are hanging around. You know, so they use all kinds of racks that they can find put sticks in order to have a little bit of shelter. But these are the lucky ones. I realized that these are the lucky ones who can afford, to have rags, to use to provide shelter for them, because it's not always, it's not always the case. I'll show you other pictures of a little child sleeping in this makeshift structure. So it's something that is really pathetic. I mean, it's not. I think some of us who have been involved in this for so long, we are kind of immune. Sometimes I think that we are immune to it, but it's a very depressing sight. I need to stop sharing, and then. So as a result of that, 2 days after I took those photos, my colleagues started distributing high energy biscuits, to keep the people alive. So you have the villagers, the IDPs, they gather, and then we use. We have my colleagues went to the field. Normally we work through NGOs, but when it comes to this, we intervene ourselves, because by the time we arrange with the NGOs to get involved, it's already, it can be too late. It needs immediate intervention. We get the soldiers to provide security, because you don't know who is who. It's a dangerous zone. These people have run away from Boko Haram, and we don't know whether Boko Haram is going to come and attack again. So because of that, we have to have government forces to provide security. So that was about the emergency food distributions. But then we also have what we call the lean season. The lean season is a period when farmers have planted and they are waiting to harvest. It's usually the rainy season. In order for them not to harvest their crops prematurely, and also to help the community not to drift into malnutrition, especially children and pregnant women, we are forced to intervene. That is, we try to target. Now, when I say target, it's not just the World Food Program, it's the entire humanitarian community that carries an assessment to target the most vulnerable households. And so these are the people that we assist. So in 2020, we assisted 18,396 households. We normally estimate about 6 family members per household. Some families are 15, 20, but in order to have a standard measure for planning purposes, we usually estimate about 6 family members. So we assisted 110,376 people. And then we also assisted with special nutritious foods, 7,226 children between the ages of 16 and 23 months. And then we provided high energy foods to pregnant and lactating women during this very difficult period. Usually we estimate a period of 3 months, which we think is enough to keep them going until they harvest. So apart from those, the emergency food intervention and then the assistance during the lean season, we also have the school feeding program. We provide school meals to 133 schools in the province, making a total of 47,323 students. So we provide food to the schools, which they cook so that the children can have a hot lunch every day to keep them alive and to keep them active, because most of these children are walking to school from long distances. The parents have gone either to the market to sell or to the farms. There's really no incentive for the children to come to school because they go to school without food. So one thing that has been helping to keep the children in school is the food that is given. And then we also provide incentive kits for girls in particular. This is a place where girls get married. Families give their daughters to marriage at the age of as early as 11, 12 years old, 13 years old. So as an incentive to keep the girls at school so that they can have an education, we give them a special incentive. We also give excellent scholarships to middle school girls. And then we also support the parents to provide school gardens, grow vegetables and so on to supplement what we are giving to the school. Because what we give to the school are cereals, either rice or corn or sorghum, whatever, beans, pulses, different types of pulses, and vegetable oil. So we work with the mothers in particular, the parents to support school gardens so that the children can have vegetables, onions, tomatoes, and so on to supplement. Now, we also have a resilience program, which is helping communities to develop resilience to be able to cope with different situations, especially to be able to cope during the lean season, to be able to cope during catastrophes. There are different kinds of situations that really break down the communities. It's hard for me to really give you the picture when you have not seen. There are different kinds of situations that really, when you see the way people are struggling, struggling to survive, especially in these desert communities where there is very little rainfall, very little water, life is very precarious. So we work with communities, we target the most vulnerable households. We try to work with them, to be able to develop farms. We work with them to develop, to have road access to their farms. We try to work with them to develop simple skills like marketing and so on. And then, and then we also work with them. We also work with them in terms of nutritional activities. We collaborate with schools for nutrition education, and then we help communities to develop certain skills. We provide different forms of training to help them to be able to cope with the situation. And for this, we give them cash so that they can be able to manage with their families. So the whole idea is helping them to build skills, but at the time that they are building skills, they should be able to cope, to live. And so majority of the people that we are targeting are IDPs, and then some of the members of the local community. IDPs that have been out of their communities for long, we try to target them so that they can begin to develop coping mechanisms, beginning to develop skills that can help them to move away from the food assistance that we are giving so that they can be able to cope on their own. Then we also have a program, a nutritional program that we do to prevent malnutrition and to treat malnutrition. So for the prevention in 2020, we assisted 12,000 children. And what we do is we provide the mothers with these high energy foods. They are very expensive, but they are very, very useful in keeping the children from falling into malnutrition. And for this, we target refugees, IDPs, and those who are returning to their homes, that people who have been displaced and because the situation might have changed, they are returning. Then we also have a treatment program where we provide food, nutritious foods to children under 5, and the same. This is a program that works through specialized NGOs, that have medical teams. They do a proper assessment, and then they provide these nutritious. While providing treatment to children who are already malnourished, we provide them with these high energy foods. We also have a component of our program which assists people who are living with HIV. As you know, in most of these communities, HIV is a real stigma. And so people who have HIV, they will not go to the hospital. They don't want their neighbors to know that they are infected. And so they live in hiding, and then they die. So we started a pilot program to try to assist these people through the Ministry of Health. It was a 5-month program. We gave them cash. I know it was a very difficult program because we had to be so careful in order to assist them without identifying, exposing their identity. So what we did was we used e-money transfer, where we provided their phone numbers to one of these telephone companies that would then just transfer money into their phones. And then they would go into a redemption to a kiosk and receive the money without, explaining why they are getting the money. This photo is one of our warehouses in the town of Bagasola. And this one is when my colleagues were dancing. I was away. They were dancing after WFP was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. So they got together to dance and to rejoice. That was when this photo. Now I'm going to stop this one. I'm going to show you some more photos, which I think will illustrate some of the things that I was trying to explain. Yeah. Now, these are, stop sharing, okay. And then start. Yeah. Okay, so this is what a typical IDP camp would be, where they have built their, these ones have been there for a while. The white plastic sheets is the refugee camp, a big refugee camp. It has 16,000 people. It's managed by UNHCR, United Nations High Commission for Refugees. That's it, part of it in the background. And so these are some of the structures that people will put up, you know, to be able to have a little bit of shelter when they arrive, you know. And this is where most of the thousands of refugees are staying. You know, they don't have the means. They cannot. Sometimes in humanitarian community will try to put up plastic sheets and put up structures for them, but it's a very when you have thousands upon thousands of people who are coming, and sometimes you have 20,000 people arriving at the same time, and we have to struggle to provide support for them. The whole international community will come together. UNICEF, for example, will dig wells, you know, and provide pumps so that people can pump water. UNHCR is always the lead when it comes to refugees and IDPs. International Organization for Migration will also provide, and then the different NGOs will also come and provide their own, activities, so facilities. So it's a very complicated process. It's one that requires sometimes I would say sleepless nights, because when those people are there, you have to make sure that they are alive, and to provide them whatever it takes, you know, to give them the facilities that they need. These are some photos from one of our main warehouses. Stop sharing. These are some photos from one of our main warehouses. We have huge drop halls, weak halls from Norway that are installed, and they are easily removed and moved to new locations when it becomes necessary. So that's why they're very practical. As you can see, it's full of sand because it's a desert. These are vegetable oils, the one in red. These are vegetable oils from the United States, a donation from the US government. And yeah, so these are some of the structures that are supporting us. Then I also wanted to show some photos. Stop sharing. Okay. These are some photos from our school feeding program. So we provide, stop sharing, okay. So these are some photos from our school feeding program. When COVID started, we provided hand washing facilities so that the children would wash their hands when they come to school. And we made sure that all the teachers and everybody involved had masks, face masks. And then these are girls. This is the incentive that we give to the bigger girls, the older girls in the school. To keep them in school, we give them money. It's usually 30,000 francs that we give them. 30,000 francs is about $60. We give them each month to keep them in school for the period that they're in school for a couple of months. This is a World Food Program food aid monitor who goes to the school to make sure that the program is being implemented as planned. Yeah, these are the mothers, the women who are cooking. This is rice and yellow split peas. And then also we give to some of the families, the most vulnerable families, goats to rear in order to be able to have some economic activities. We provided these solar panels to support the school gardens so that they can pump water in order to be able to irrigate the farm. This was a consultation that we were having. This is me here. We're having this consultation at the height of COVID with the mothers who were working in this vegetable garden. In order, they had asked how they could expand the garden. So we were having a consultation to see how they could expand the garden. And so we had to sit in mats and spaced physical distancing in order to prevent people from being infected by COVID. Yeah, so the girls are displaying their money. Yeah, so this is the farm. They also grow maize in the farm. Yeah, they don't have, they wash their hands and they eat with their hands. It's a culture in this place for people to eat with their hands. And so we arrange for them to wash their hands and eat with their hands. I remember the lady who cooks in the World Food Program guest house. She was always eating with her hands. I asked her, why do you eat with your hands? When there are spoons and everything, she said the food tastes better in her mouth when she eats with her hands. So these are some consultations with the community by my colleagues. This is the maize farm that the World Food Program is supporting in order to supplement what has been, the arrangement that was made in this farm is that 1/3 of the harvest would go to the maize would go to the schools. 1/3 would be sold to supplement the funding for the school feeding program, and 1/3 will be given to the women who were working there, because we didn't have salaries for them. It was an incentive, you know, they were the mothers of the children. So, and then I just wanted to share some photos of our resilience program. So this is these are some of our resilience activities, which are mostly geared towards, oh, stop sharing.
Your patience is immense, Adele.
Yeah, so these are farms. We support farmers, you know, to be able to produce. this is a very dry part of Africa, sub-Sahelian, the Sahel region, which is very dry, very little water, very little vegetation. So people eat very little vegetable. And so we are encouraging all this vegetable production in order to help them to diversify their diet. In fact, for me, most of the things that I eat when I'm there are things that are imported from Cameroon, which is in the rainforest. So most of the food that you find in the capital is imported from Cameroon, because to find vegetable, so we are working with these communities to help them to develop these gardens, to be able to grow onion, tomatoes, and all these things in order to diversify their diet. Yeah. Yeah, COVID brought a lot of changes, and you can see when we are doing distribution, we had to, create space where there is physical distancing. Naturally, people don't physical distance. Let me be very clear. These are communities that live together. Fortunately, COVID has not, I don't know whether it's because of the sun, because of the what, COVID has not really penetrated these areas, but these are people who live in community. Physical distancing is, but as the UN, we have to do what we have to do. That is, we have to put in place structures that guarantee physical distancing during our activities. Yeah. So I think I'm going to end here and allow room for questions and comments. I know that there are friends who are very familiar with the region. This was a visit that we made. This lady was our country director at the time, and we're visiting some of these activities. She's from England. She's very knowledgeable. She has worked in Africa for many years. She's now in Mali, managing the operation there. I just want to show one other thing very quickly. Some of the, I just think I should show this. So I stop this. Yeah. Okay, so I stop and then I go back. So I just want, this was a project. I just want to show you something which I think is interesting. We had the World Food Program had embarked on a project. Let me move fast forward first. Okay, so this is an arm of Lake Chad. This is an arm of Lake Chad. The community behind there, going forward, was an island. It's an island. And so we noticed that this part of the lake was beginning to get dry. First, the community did not have access. In order for them to go to the clinic, to go to children, to go to schools and everything, they had to take a boat. It was very difficult to go to the market. Everything they needed to go on a boat. It was very difficult. So we consulted with the community and came up with the idea. Now, let's create a road here, create create a road here, block this part of the lake, block this part of the lake for two reasons. One, to create a road, and the other reason was to create a farmland. So we created a farmland of about 500 hectares, which has now been distributed amongst the members of the community so that they can have land to cultivate. And then we created a, what do you call, we put a, let me go back and show you. Yeah, so we created this, what's the name again? We created this channel, and with a tap on the other side, where when during the rainy season, we will block it on the other side so that water does not come through. And then they will cultivate on the farm, the new farm, the farm that we created, using natural rainwater, which is maybe, it rains about 6 times a year, something like that. But then during the dry season, we would open the valve for water, as you can see, for water to flood the land. So water will flood and irrigate the land over a period of time. So when the land has enough groundwater, we will close the valve. And as the water, when the water has sunk and there's enough groundwater, then they will cultivate. So instead of cultivating just once a year during the rainy season, now they can cultivate about 3 times a year. So for us, that is a way of helping the community to ensure their food security. So yeah, so these are the women who benefited from this activity. So now I will stop sharing